What is up, my friends? We are back. Another Liverpool victory, but I think it's fair to say a less than convincing one. I'm here joined by Mr. Conor Crosby and Mr. Chris Donish to try to pick the bones out of another confusing Liverpool display. And Chris, I'm going to come to you first, mate. Would it be fair to say relief is what we're feeling right now?
100%. But I think I'm trying to put myself in the mindset of where we were a couple of weeks ago. And this is exactly what we wanted, really. We didn't care about performances. We cared about results and we cared about wins. And we've got that. However stressful it was against 9 men, that, remove all the context. It's 3 points. We're level on points with 4th place. We're in a good place, mate. We're in a good place.
There's no denying that. Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. We were at 12th at one point. We wanted to go up that league table. Now goal difference divides us and Chelsea, and we've a couple of handy enough fixtures coming up. But to counteract that point, Connor, this really reminds me of the start of the season where we had this feeling of, yes, we'll take it. Yes, it's great. Thankfully, 3 points. But it was, again, less than convincing. And it is a weird mindset to be in, isn't it? Because everything that Chris said is absolutely correct and we should be happy. But there's still that lingering little doubt.
Yeah, it feels weird when you win a game, but you're still slightly frustrated at how poor the performance in the end was. Fair enough, you can only beat who's in front of you, but we shouldn't be struggling against 9 men, or 10 men for that fact. But 9 men, and we're hanging on for dear life at the end. Obviously 3 points is 3 points, and that's the most important thing. And like we said, we're back up now, firmly back in the Champions League race, tied in 4th place. But it's still you wouldn't be convinced, or you're not really thinking this is it now, grand, we're going to win the next 6 games, because it's anyone could beat us if we can start to look shaky against 9 men. Any team can beat us, really. But then again, Chris said exactly spot on as well. We can't fault the fact that we're 5th now, and we are after winning 4 games of the last 6 and are unbeaten in 6. So definitely turning around. But yeah, far from convincing. So
let's go all the way back, Chris, to the starting 11 that Arna put out there today. Can't say I really had too many complaints about it. More maybe a tad disappointment that we didn't see Isak and Wirtz start together. I think he was probably just protecting, one of his forwards. So don't really have any complaints about the 11. I wouldn't have changed too much about it. Your thoughts on what you've seen from the manager with regards to the starting 11?
Yeah, absolutely spot on. I think on your point, I think we saw exactly what Wirtz and Isak can do together when they actually did occur. But yeah, I to be honest, that the way that we've been playing, I think that starting 11 was completely justified. So yeah, I to be honest, the entire first half performance was a little bit dodgy, to be honest, even before and after first half, before and after the red card, sorry. But yeah, team selection, I think pretty much spot on.
And what did you think, Connor, for up until, and we'll move on to speak about the Xavi Simons challenge in a minute, but when it was 11v11, what were your thoughts on the game? Because for me, it felt like we were again starting slowly. Spurs came out of the traps quick, supported at home, obviously. They had their own pressure. How did you feel at 11v11?
Yeah, I thought we looked solid enough, to be fair. It wasn't we were conceding loads of chances, but we just looked so passive. And I think that's just kind of what's happened every game this season. We just don't have any zip behind the ball, no energy, no just passing balls quickly. We just look so pedestrian, and it's boring to watch. I know we done a poll as well, and most people agreed. It is just boring football, and that is worrying in itself, because we can take some bad results as long as it's entertaining as well. But at the minute, we're getting results, and it's not entertaining. And again, the results are important, but it's just so slow, so pedestrian, just lacking ideas, really. But I thought we did look solid enough. But I don't know if we would have won that game if it was 11v11. I'll put it that way.
For me, Chris, it very much felt like we'd reverted back to type of side to side, looking for that perfect ball and undermining ourselves as we just moved the ball across the pitch back and forth. I didn't like what I'd seen at 11v11, mate. I just didn't.
Found it extremely dull from both teams, to be honest. I don't think, to be fair, I don't think Tottenham really offered that much either. If you look before the goal, I think both teams had one header on target. Van Dijk's header from the set piece, and Koulibaly Moani's header into Alisson's hands, which was pretty pathetic, lame header. So it's realistically, neither team were creating anything. When we went into this game, none of us would have said 0-0, right? Absolutely nobody. There was a brief sort of 10 to 15 minute period where I thought, actually, 0-0's on here. Neither team are actually able to create anything, especially when both teams are pretty dour and pretty poor defensively. So yeah, it was just a bit poor, really. The first and until that red card happened, to be honest, I could have actually seen a goalless draw. Like I don't think many things could have happened there to really change that. So yeah, thank God for Xavi Simons.
Yeah, it wasn't setting up for a Premier League Christmas classic, but the looks of it at 11v11.
Last year's
yeah, fair. On that though, I mean, I mentioned this to Connor, and I'll come to you for this, Connor. What on earth was Xavi Simons doing? I mean, just on any level, it just seemed like the height of stupidity. One, it's his international teammate, firstly, so he knows Virgil, so there's no bad blood there, you would think. Virgil was going back to his goalkeeper, so no imminent danger coming. And then he just comes in with initially what looked like just a late innocuous challenge, just bumping into the player. Then Stuart Atwell, and fair play on VAR, asked John Brooks to have a look at the monitor. And then the kind of extent of what Simons actually did came through. And I don't think kind of they can have any complaints about that card.
I've seen a few trying to have complaints, to be fair, but like it's a stonewall red card, like studs up on the back of his calf, going down the back of his leg. It's just, again, like you said as well, completely unnecessary. It's not like Van Dijk had a loose touch and he went to go leap in to try steal it away to get a chance. Like he was facing the other way. The ball was 3 or 4 yards away. Van Dijk was about to pass it back to the key. Like it's just completely stupid. And I'd imagine he just lost a head for a second, because even he came out on Instagram afterwards there and he was apologising and saying like Van Dijk's his international captain and he wouldn't ever go out to injure anyone or do anything that way. But like, complete moment of madness. Like I don't understand what he was trying to do. Completely unnecessary challenge and just completely timed it wrong, and just definitely a red card, no arguments.
So Chris, do you think if we're putting our wider ranging goggles on, do you think maybe the few incidents of kicks to the chests and stuff that haven't actually seen a ref refer to a monitor may have still been ringing in the ears of some of those PGMOL officials as Stuart Atwell asked John Brooks to go to the monitor, or do you just think it was just the right call?
100%. I mean, to be honest, in real time, I thought it was really soft. Like, my first instinct was, that's never a red. I mean, everyone around me, I was sat in the pub for a game, and I was like, they were like, oh, it's definitely red. I was like, no way, really soft. But then you look at the replay, it's bad. It was a silly foul. And I think you could tell by the look on Simon's face, like he just knew. Like, not to be all Arsenal fans about look at Firmino's face, but you could just tell by the look on Simons. And also, there was absolutely zero complaints by the Spurs players.
Did you notice the difference when the ref went to the monitor, by the way? He
No,
wasn't met with the freeze frame of it in the worst incident. He was met with it in full time, full speed, shock horror.
All I will say is, and I quote a VAR official, good process. That's all I will say.
And for once, sir, I'm going to agree and say, yes, lads, all around, high fives, good process. Yeah, I think the right decision was came to. But then what wound me up, Connor, was we're against 10 men for the remainder of the first half anyway, and we had absolutely no width to our game whatsoever. And that was driving me insane until halftime.
Yeah, it seemed like we didn't really adjust anything to like take advantage of the fact that we had an extra player. Like we didn't bring on, let's say when Bradley went down first, you could go, right, just take him off, get Isak or Case or someone on, can just get more attacking players. We don't need as many defensive players. Really stretch them out, make gaps, pass the ball around quickly. Like we done none of that. We just kept passing the ball back and forth in front of their back line, letting them go back into a low block with every single man behind the ball. And again, low block wouldn't even be an excuse here when there's that many players, or when they're losing the player and we have the advantage. Like it just seemed like we didn't change anything whatsoever. Like we didn't adapt to actually take advantage of the situation. And like you said, we just no weight at all, and I don't know, just again, nothing changed when they actually lost the man.
So the manager goes in at halftime, Chris. We're all scratching our heads thinking, surely we got to figure this out. Surely this got to get better. We see Isak warming up. He comes in, and like you mentioned at the very start of this, has that little connection with Florian Wirtz, who slipped a little slide rule pass in. And that was why we bought Isak, wasn't it? It was moments like that, positions like that, what you would class as a decent chance, but not a given. That's why you pay the money for a finisher like him. And look, I'll let you talk through the aftermath of that. But for a brief second, Chris, we managed to have a little bit of joy, just for a second.
Yeah, exactly that. When the ball hit the back of the net, I said to Izzy, and she barely listens to me, but I just said to her, this is why we bought him. Literally situations like this. Imagine Darwin Nunez in that situation. Like, the ball's getting hit straight at the goalkeeper or over the bar. Like, yeah, exactly. This is the reason why we paid 130 million quid, because it's like, you know that 9.9 times out of 10 that's going in the back of the net. And as you said, it's not a given, but it's getting himself into that situation. Unfortunately, I don't want to speculate about injuries, but I think he's absolutely finished. Like, to be honest with you, I think that injury is going to be really bad. Like,
Can I ask you what you thought of the Van de Ven part? Because in the watch along, people were saying to me that they thought that was worse than the Simons challenge. For me, maybe I'm misreading this. I seen it as just Van de Ven trying to get a block in, just throwing his body across to get a block in, and I see no malicious intent whatsoever. It just felt like no look at all for Isak. That's all it feels like to me. I see nothing sinister for me in that anyway.
He was going for the ball. Like, that's the one thing you can't say about Simons, because he was so far away from the ball. Like, he can't have been. And if he was, well, blimey, you need to improve at tackling. But Van de Ven really was going for the ball. And as you say, going for that block. And unfortunately, Isak's leg just got stuck between the two of Van de Ven's. And I really worry, man. I mean, I'm no physio, I'm no doctor, but it the way he sort of hobbled off reminded me of when Oxlade-Chamberlain went off against Roma. It just sort of it scared me, and I really, really hope and pray that that's not the case, because, you know, he's just scored another goal. Like, well, that's 2 in 4 for him now. Like, let's just, you know, hopefully he can get into form, but I just want to see him on the pitch, to be honest. I'm worried that it's going to be a long term for him off the pitch, which is sad, really, for a player who's cost 130 million quid.
Look, for me, mate, I'm, world renowned as a gynecological expert, but when it comes to knee injuries and stuff like that, I'm with you. I'm not gonna try to second guess what happened there. For yourself, Conor, I mean, your take on the Van de Ven situation, did you think, like myself and Chris, that it was just unfortunate, or do you think he was in any way reckless?
I don't know if reckless is the word. It was definitely unfortunate, and I'd say a little bit clumsy. Like, I think he was very close to having both feet off the ground at one point, to be fair. And just I know, like, he has to go in quick when he's diving for the ball, but, like, yeah, just the 2 legs wrapping around the planted leg is never going to be good, like, is it? So probably, I don't know if it's a red card or not, but I think he could have definitely timed it a little bit better and not kind of thrown in both legs. But yeah, definitely not a good challenge, and let's hope Isak is back quicker than we hope. Or than we expect. I actually see a quote come up here. Allison on Isak, he said, I think he'll be okay. So whatever that means, I don't know, but hopefully it's not as bad as we think it might be.
I hope so.
I mean, that would be fun. Even look, if you heard now he's out for a couple of weeks, you'd probably be happy enough with that at this point, wouldn't you? You do. Look, we don't know, as Chris said, and we don't want to speculate, but we are humans. We do have this fear of the potential situation. Like, I remember thinking to myself when Virgil went off, he's walking off on his own weight, of his own foot that time, where it was his ACL when Pickford came out. And I never for 1 second thought that we were going to then see Virgil out. So hopefully on this one, the reverse is true. Maybe we fear the worst, but maybe we get a little bit fortunate with it. But what did happen then in the immediate aftermath of that, Chris, was Jeremy Frimpong was introduced, and that, sir, is when we got the width, and that is when we got somebody who impacted the game. And I really loved his checked cross to Hugo, because tried to go on the right, it wasn't there, and it went cut back onto his left. It didn't look to cut back onto his left to be lazy to go backwards, just floats in a lovely little dink. And for a wannabe hard man Argentinian, Romero isn't half a little whiny bitch at times.
Yeah, you hold back, Craig. I really, everything about that goal was great. In terms of the things we maybe haven't seen as much this season, Ekitike just really wanted the ball. Like, it sounds so sort of basic, but he climbs so high. Like, you remember that Ronaldo header, like a couple of years ago, where he just sort of got really, really high. It reminded me of that. He controlled the header into the top corner, which is brilliant. But on the whole, I think the Frimpong substitution was excellent because, as you said, all of the space, even when they had 11 men, was out wide. We did not utilize Bradley and Kirkes enough. And as soon as Frimpong came on, it seemed to be like, okay, we can actually get the ball to him and he can run in behind. Sometimes it's like, oh, it seems like the blatantly obvious to us, but maybe it's not so blatantly obvious on the field. But yeah, unbelievable performance from him when he came on. I'm not sure what happened. I mean, I don't know whether we'll go on to cover it, but like when he was bleeding, the referee didn't stop the game. Did you see that?
There was two. Did you notice as well in the first half, there was a head injury. Can't remember who it was. One of our players went down. Ekitike, was it?
Yeah.
And the referee played played on until Spurs' attack broke down, at which point the head injury all of a sudden became a concern.
I understand the sort of the frustration around the head injury rule because a lot of clubs and players and managers have been taking advantage of it, but rules are rule, right? Like if you're gonna establish it, make sure you establish it all the time. I thought the Frimpong one especially was ridiculous, and I heard Gary Neville on commentary saying, "Oh, you just got a little touch on the face, like he's bleeding, brother. Like you can't just say, oh, it's a little tap. Like he's literally bleeding from the mouth."
And let's not forget who was on the other side of it as well. Like he doesn't have a little bit of form.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Look, I think Frimpong was really good when he came on, and that's the sort of thing we've been wanting from him. And obviously, he hasn't been fit enough to show how good he is. But yeah, really top player when he's on it. It's where he fits in is a good thing, and I think coming on off the bench in these sort of situations might actually suit him better than maybe starting.
So we got the good out of the way. Now let's get to the 2-0 lead incident, ladies and gentlemen, because I don't know why we are so mentally scarred at that scoreline. But once again, we found a way to gift a goal from a set piece, Conor. And it was a mess from start to finish. Virgil fully missed the ball by a foot when he was swinging his leg at it. And I don't know how that happened. And then, of course, it has to be, who scores the goal for them as well, gets them back into it. And look, we'll talk about what happened afterwards, but what the hell is happening with set pieces, Conor? How can we not defend them?
I've no idea. Even as it unfolded, you could just see 3 or 4 players just swing at it. Like you could have the Curb Your Enthusiasm music playing over it or something like that. It was just absolutely calamitous. Like every single touch of the ball went wrong. Every swing was a miss. It just fell to the pigeon you put it in. It's just absolutely calamitous. Again, from a set piece. We just can't defend. Like we can stick the ball in the back of the net, fine. Like we're not fantastic up front, but at least we're scoring goals. But the defense, it's just.
Excuse me, wash your mouth out. Hugo is God.
He is a god, yeah. Like that's why we can score, because he is a god. Like we don't look good in attacking plays, but he still sticks in the net somehow. But Alisson, world class keeper. Van Dijk, world class defender. Kanate, good defender on his day. Kerkez, good defender, best left back in the league last year. Bradley, good defender. Frimpong, decent defender. On paper, we shouldn't have issues defensively, but we look like a League 2 team at times with the defence. It's baffling. I can't understand it whatsoever.
So from there on, they get their goal, Chris, and we're thinking, well, here we go again. Then Canada goes full Canada, gives away a stupid free kick in a stupid position. We then get another glorious gift handed to us because the man who was rolling around at one end of the pitch when Ekitike scored, all of a sudden, even though he'd just been awarded a free kick, decided, I know what I'll do here. I'll kick out a Canada right in front of John Brooks. So John Brooks then has absolutely no choice but to whip out the second yellow and send him off. And you're thinking, yeah, here we go now. We've got a manager who wants to control games, who wants to dominate possession. We've got 11 men against 9. This should be relatively straightforward. That's not really what happened, though, is it?
No. The funny thing, right? The way you just laid it out there, it makes it so simple. But what actually, in the psyche of Christian Romero, what are you doing? Like genuinely, if he stayed on the pitch, I think Tottenham might have got a point. There's a big chance that they might have done because they were really on top with 10. What was going through his brain as the captain of his football club to think that this was a good idea? It baffles me. To be honest.
He just won a free, Chris. It's not like it was an infringement where he feels he was hard done by the ref when he was lashing out. He'd just been given the free.
And the ref's there. The ref's in front of you, pal. What are you doing? It was totally brain dead. Yeah, in terms of the whole, yeah, it felt like we were, I don't know, it felt like we had less men than them for a bit, which is a slightly worrying scenario. We kept going long, which for me was a really ridiculous thing to do, because when you've got 11 men, you've always got to have a spare man, right? So you're always going to be able to pass away and pass.
You leave somebody like Chiesa standing on the halfway line.
Exactly. And Spurs, I mean, fair play to them, they huffed and puffed in that. But actually, even though we were worried and it didn't look great for the last sort of 10, 15 minutes, we didn't really concede anything. But it was easily could have happened with 10. And that's why I think
Christian Romero towards the end, though.
Well, Christian Romero should be absolutely ashamed.
I think that was a bit earlier, wasn't it? There was a strike that I think it went. Did it go off Bradley's leg or Kirk's leg and looped up over and hit the bar?
I think, to be honest, and I'll say this now, I think Christian Romero should be totally ashamed of himself. Like, I think he's actually cost his own team a point there, and I don't think it's the first time that he's done that. So yeah, I mean, obviously he gained them a point against Newcastle back a couple of weeks ago, but I just feel like his lack of brain cells in that situation cost his team a point, which, as a team's captain, when you're if you're Thomas Frank, I'd be like, why is this guy my skipper? Like, if he's going to throw the rest of my team under the bus. I thought it was really shocking, to be honest with you, from him.
It was absolutely shocking, as you said. But I said something, Conor, during the watch along, and I want to know if you'd agree with me or not. If that's Manchester City against 9 men for 9 minutes of stoppage time, I would dare to say I'd be surprised if Spurs touched the football in those 9 minutes, because City would have just moved it around, triangles, then they'd win a free kick because somebody come and kick their ankle to stop it. And for a manager that wants to play with control and dominate possession, in that game, somehow they had 15 shots, which was more than us. They had 5 on target, which was more than us. And they had more of the ball with 9 men at the end of the game when we were panicking. Nothing about this feels controlled.
No, there's no control, no stability, no nothing. And like you said, yeah, a team like Man City are going to just pass the ball around, drag them out of position, make them run at them, just use every trick in the book to hold onto the ball. And we just done none of it. Like, we just completely lost our heads. And people, like, in the chat as well, were saying, like, you can't blame the manager for that. But, like, you can. Like, let's be honest. Like, it's just bad game management, isn't it? It's just, like, I don't know what the hell we were doing. Like, any other team just dominates that last few minutes. We're sitting back going, right, grand, that's the result tied up. We'll just stay here and watch this, pass the ball around the back for the next 10 minutes. But yeah, just let them have all the balls, let them actually, or invited pressure onto ourselves really as well. And again, yeah, just absolutely baffling. Like, no other team would happen like that.
I felt, Chris, at 2-0, that was 2-0, 75 minutes. That was the perfect time to bring on Rio and Gamoa. You know, their tired legs, a bit more space, counter-attack, and then no. But it's okay, though, because he brought Chiesa on in garbage time.
Yeah, I'm kind of happy he didn't bring Rio on in the end, to be honest, because, again, I don't really want to throw a 17-year-old into that situation. But I suppose, you know, he's come on against Newcastle when we needed something, and he delivered that.
I was saying, though, at 2-0, when there was
100%,
11-10, and they were going to have to start committing bodies forward. We could have just left them standing on the halfway line.
And that's sort of where I wanted to go with my point, because I think actually not inviting pressure, but slightly sitting back at 2-0 isn't actually that horrendous a strategy, because obviously they're going to bring bodies forward. We can hit them on the counter attack because we've got pace. We had, I think Frimpong was on at that point still before he got, you know, smashed in the face. Oh, sorry, lightly touched in the face, Gary Neville. We had, you know, Ekatike's got pace. People, like, you can burst forward with maybe an Engamoa or a Chiesa, but yeah, when it was 9, why were we sitting back? Like, why were we just inviting pressure? They had 9 men and they needed to score a goal, and they were lumping everyone forward. What was the brain? Like, what was the thought process behind that? I'm not too sure. But yeah, Engamoa, I'm not sure he's going to play again until Barnsley, to be honest with you. I don't think he'll probably feature until then.
So, the concerning thing from today's game, though, gents, has to be the injuries piling up. So, you know, we know that there's no Endo for a while. We know Gakpo's not available. Frimpong should be okay, to be fair. That was just, as you said, a facial injury, so he should be back. Bradley just can't catch a break, can he? And we still don't know what the situation is with Isak. You'd have to think even a best case scenario there might be a week or two. It's getting concerning now, because the more he has to continue to play the same players, it's almost like you're riding that injuries are going to come because of that. And that's what concerns me, Conor, is we've got no centre-backs because Gomez is out as well, and we still don't really know the extent there. We've 2 centre-backs, so we're 1 injury away from a super crisis, and the injuries are just mounting up on us.
Yeah, particularly at centre-back, because then, like, if you factor in, like, if Endo was the backup, and now he's injured as well, like, we're literally threadbare now. We don't have any kind of backup. Like, Andy Robertson is probably the only other option there now at centre-back. And then you look towards right-back, Bradley's injured again. Hopefully not too bad, but Frimpong is there then. He's only come back from injury, so he can't obviously play 90 minutes 3 times a week. You look at midfield, not too bad to be fair, but up front then, yeah, we've Ekitike, we have Chiesa who doesn't want to play, Ngamoha who doesn't want to play, Salah's not here, like Gakpo's injured, but like it's literally, Ekitike is a one-man team at this point, isn't he? Like, it's just no one else around. And like, we have to dip into the January market now, surely. Like whether up front or not, like definitely centre-back. 100% we need a centre-back. Like, we can't go into the rest of the season with 2 centre-backs, one of them being Kanate, who's been awful and injury-prone, and then pray to God that Gomez comes back quick and he's like able to stay fit as well. Like, it's blind faith if we do that. And we just, whether it's Mark Ahey or not, like, we just need to get someone in. We just need more bodies.
Absolutely need a centre-back in. And look, with the situation with Semenyo, Chris, which we've discussed, at length, according to multiple sources over the past few hours, it certainly seems like it's the 2 Manchester clubs at this point that are really pushing and trying to convince Semenyo and get him over the line. So if that doesn't work out, if the worst happened with Isak, we're in trouble again, mate. We're in trouble again. And I'm not suggesting you go out there to sign a player just in case, but we were being linked with Semenyo. It was openly being talked about. And if both Manchester clubs are pushing ahead to try and get him, I mean, where does that leave us? I was saying to you before we went live that, Christian Falk has linked us to a striker from Michelin called Francolino Jew, who was 24 goal contributions this season, 21 years of age. But you'd have to say that's a roll of the dice one way or the other. Are you concerned at all with the attacking options available?
I think you'd be crazy not to be concerned, right? Because if like, the last few weeks we suffer freak injuries, continuously, we're going to end up with like a situation like we did in 2020-21 where, you got Nat Phillips and Reece Williams at centre-back. I wonder if either of those are still on the books. I think Reece Williams is still on the books, right? Get him back in. But no, we have to go out in January. I mean, I cannot for the life of me believe Semenyo going to Manchester United. Like genuinely. How are they an attractive prospect? I don't know at the moment. They've won a couple of matches, but there's no way. I just don't see it. City, I can absolutely see. Like, I think he would be incredible for City, but I think he'd be incredible for us as well. And I think there's more of a pathway into the first team for us than there is at City. If we don't go out and at least bring a body in at centre half, I think centre half is more important than the forward line, because I think we've got options to potentially cover there. I really worry for us. This is the problem when, unfortunately, you suffer an ACL to a lad who potentially wasn't going to play anyway, but he would have played a lot more. And also, you don't go and get Mark Ahey as well, or go and get anyone in the summer when Kwanzaa left. Yeah, it's a worrying time if we get injuries, and I think as long as we're living on that tightrope, we're going to be worried, right? So I'd be very concerned if we didn't get anyone in January.
So, Conor, I'll take all of our concerns and Chris's and mine and yours, and I'll raise you delusional Arne Slot, who said this in his in the embargo section. So, Lewis Steele reports, Arne Slot, when asked about the need to sign the defender in January, said this, and I actually still can't believe he said it. The outside world wants to believe we have unlimited money, but that's not true. You insiders know, and you're the only ones, because the outside world only talks about our spending, what we have brought in to spend. That's the way we work here. then you have to accept that in certain games during the season, you're going to be short of fullback, but we're still able to win. I fully believe in that way of working, by the way. Has he forgotten, Conor? Like, has he actually got the full Men in Black treatment where somebody shines something in his eyes and he doesn't remember the end of the transfer window where he tried to sign the centre-back?
Yeah, it's not like it was like, right, we missed out on Mark Ahe, let's go bring Ekatike in instead or something like that. Like, we'd already wrapped up all the other signings, and then Mark Ahe was the last one, which fell through. Like, it just, like you said, he must have just completely forgotten, because that makes absolutely no sense. And like, he barely talks sense in any of the press conferences and stuff nowadays, to be honest. But that's really taking the biscuit, like the saying we don't have money for a defender when we literally do have money for a defender sitting there that we didn't spend. Like, the man was done his medical, the deal was done, we were spending that money. Unless they just gave the money to Palace and then they're still waiting on a refund or something. Like, I've no idea what you could even be thinking by saying that, because it makes no sense. And even the whole, like, the outside world saying this, like him and Van Dijk loving to just say stuff about this outside world. Like, we're not idiots. Like you said, like, we had the money there for a centre-back and now suddenly we don't. Like, make that whole make sense.
And to add into all of this, Chris, just before we finish up, and we still don't know what Canada is doing with his future, and in 11 days' time, the man can talk to any club outside of England and nothing we can do about it.
Yeah, it's a clusterfuck, really, to give it. You can't operate. The thing is, it really winds me up with this double standard stuff, because you can't complain about injuries and then also say at the same time you want a small squad, because they come hand in hand with each other.
He's getting his wish, to be fair, isn't he?
Well, yeah, you have to operate with a small squad when you've got no players to operate with. Like, it's a confusing one. I understand the whole, like, trying to play things down in a press conference sort of vibe, but don't pretend people are stupid, man. Like, I don't like this whole, like, oh, we're in this sort of inner circle and you guys don't understand. Well, the thing is, we do, and you're spoofing, lads. So come on, like, just be honest. I understand why they're saying these things, but it's not going to work on people who are actually in tune with what's going on and actually listen to things they say consistently. It's going to work on people who aren't particularly, who are more casual with it. For me, I just think, like, just use your brain and just be honest with things and just say, like, yeah, we did try and sign a centre back. We may try and sign a centre back in the future. I don't know what the right thing is to say, but hopefully we do go and get someone in.
You know who should have known what to say? The journalists that are sitting there in the press conference that are listening to this tripe and haven't got the courage of their convictions to go, excuse me, Arna, hi, Lewis Steele here. Do you not remember Mark Ahe, mate, when the money was there and you nearly signed him and you wanted to sign him? I mean, I don't think that's going to be talked about as being, over the mark or overstepping it by just pointing out the bleeding obvious.
Well, yeah, like, we all know what happened with Mark Ahe, and we all know, it's happened before. We all know that there's been money to spend, and we all know, in the future we may not have the money to spend a £250 million summer, but we're able to sign a centre half. Like, especially with the wages that are going to be leaving if Konate goes. Like, come on, like, just don't think we're thick. That's all I ask of you.
It's a mere ask, isn't it, folks? Just don't ask. Just not treat us like we're thick, So, look, let's finish up on a positive, gents. It is unbeaten in 6. It is 4 wins and 2 draws. We are right back at the business end of the table where we'd want to be. And we've got a run of games coming up that, again, you think Wolves, Leeds should be decent enough. So let's hope that we get some good news on the injury front over the next few days. And of course, this will be the last episode of this before everybody sits down to enjoy their Christmas. So I want to say a Merry Christmas and a thank you to everyone that watches, of course, to Conor and Chris. But I want to give you guys a chance to just say Happy Christmas as well. So, Mr. Stonage, yourself first.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've forgotten all the lyrics to Fairy Tale of New York. But
he's forgotten them like he's ever learned them. Come on, mate. Come on. Don't go full Arna.
Well, listen, for those of you on the inside, I did learn them, but just for now, you just have to be patient with us. But no, Merry Christmas on all. Been an absolute pleasure this year, and hopefully, we're going on a title charge.
Mr. Crosby, as Christmas happiness personified, sir, we'll let you sign off with it.
Yeah, I'm a man of few words. Merry Christmas.
There you go.
Sure.
I echo that sentiment, and thank you all. We'll see you. Have a wonderful Christmas period. We'll see you afterwards, or hopefully we're celebrating a victory against Wolves. Thank you for your continued support. We'll talk soon. Much love. Bye-bye.